Welcome to the Upstate Collective, recorded at Podforge Studios in Anderson, South Carolina. My name is Conrad Meier. I'm the founder and CEO of Podforge Studios, and I'm so glad to have our guest, David Wilkinson, with us. And just so you know, the Upstate Collective is a conversation about business, leadership, and community. And David, man, I'm so excited to have you here.
Hey, it's great to be on the show, Conrad. Thanks so much.
Yeah, man. So you are the founder and CEO of the Global Equipping Center.
That's correct. For 26 years. Can you believe it? Started in 1999 in Atlanta, Georgia.
In 1999. What's that? 1999.
I know. It sounds funny. Way
back high
then.
School. I was like starting high school.
Just got my master's.
Okay.
Got out. And what happened was I was actually going to go into nonprofit work. Can you believe it? I love fundraising, love leadership, love curriculum development. And I got out and all the doors closed except business. And I started my first company up and I fell in love with it and I was really good at it. Okay. And what happened was in January 2000, my dad and I team taught at the Atlanta Hilton Hotel visionary leadership course to 116 leaders from all over the world. And at the end of the third day, I had a group of business people surround me. And they said, David, man, you've read over 100 leadership books. You're really passionate. You know a lot about DISC. We want to hire you to come in and coach our people. And then we're going to take you out to nice restaurants and teach you about business because you don't know anything about business. That's how it started.
So you read 100 leadership books.
Yeah.
And they opened the door and they said, hey, we want to hire you. And you go, for what, how, this is because did you have a framework for that?
So the only coaching we knew about was for football and basketball. There really weren't many coaches back in 2000. So I fell into it and I got hired from these companies. And what I found, Conrad, is I have a knack intuitively of how to help someone reach their full potential.
Wow.
And that wasn't from my schooling. It wasn't from me having a passion about coaching. It was a hobby for me.
Wow.
I didn't know it was going to turn into a 26-year-long career, a lifelong love of helping individuals, business owners to go to the next level. And it really has been incredible.
Wow. So 26 years. That's just great. I feel like I'm getting older, so it's like to think like 26, that's like half of my, a little bit less than half of my life, but that's almost half of my life. So you've been in leadership, what was that first, like you're stepping in, they're saying, hey, we want to hire you. Was there a fear? Was there any time? I mean, I know you had to be face on, fake it till you make it or whatever. In the face of fear, do you think people get a negative connotation with the word fear?
I think they don't understand that fear can be a really great driving factor for success.
Y'all need to go ahead and add that, tweet, or what do they call it? X now, right? X, put that on Facebook. That was good.
See,
that was good.
Remember Cortez? He came with his ships and then he burnt them after all the guys got off and said, you guys, we have to make it. There's no way. Effective leadership. You can't go back. Right. I didn't know this. I had one chance with about 5 companies to really make it successful. I didn't have any other backup plans.
Wow.
So here's what happened. The very first one was a small home building company in Atlanta. They were in the top like 300. And in the next couple of years, I helped them grow from 5 full-time people to 45 people, and they made it in the top 20. So if you say, do you believe in beginner's luck? Yes, I do.
Yes,
I certainly do. I believe in beginner's luck. I also believe that your intuition is an important one. And the ability really to say, it's not who I know. It's not what I don't know. It's that I'm going to be so stubborn, I'm going to help them win. And if you say to me, David, what's one of the reasons you've coached over 300 companies in 20 countries around the world, started over 20 companies yourself, I would say I'm one of the most stubborn entrepreneurs you have ever met. And I won't give up until I succeed. And
so
that really
propels you.
The purpose propels me, and my stubbornness propels my purpose.
That's good. That's good. It's like, I won't quit. Although there's probably some times where you're like, how far in are you in on this? Well, way too far, but I'm similar. I mean, I have an investment property I have way too much money into, but it's like, I have to learn whatever lesson it's going to cost, because this education you don't get from school.
No.
This is the education you get from life.
Yeah.
And so then I now know how to analyze deals better. I now know more than what I did. So I'm guessing that's part of a leadership principle, even when you're talking to business owners, is I can't imagine you're sitting down with business owners, they're going, hey, I have grown it to here. I have had it to here. How do I get past my cap? Because there are some people that have a leadership cap, right? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Now you know he does leadership stuff because I'm saying terminology and he's like, yeah. But people have a cap until they realize you can take the cap off.
Yeah.
And it might not just be you that gets it to that next level. So what does that look like?
So I call it the ceiling of complexity. The ceiling of complexity is
sounds like a movie that needs to come out.
When you have reached a height of your potential in your business growth, where you feel that you as the business owner don't have the skills, don't have the personality, don't have the knowledge to go any higher than where you're at. So when you walk around in any city around the world and you talk to 5, 10 entrepreneurs and you say to them, hey, how much money are you making? The majority of them are making less than $100,000 a year. Okay, that's the normal. That's the first ceiling of revenue is $100K. Now, here's the interesting part. I talk about this all the time, that when your soul is smaller than your revenue, you will have more expenses come into your life to bring back the revenue back to what you can handle. So if you're $100,000 a year business owner and you make $250,000, you will have $150,000 worth of expenses that come out of left field. Your house will burn down. Your car will blow up. God. You'll have a bunch of taxes. Your kid will get sick.
Go start a business.
Go start a business. Because the person says, I'm too uncomfortable with all this money. It's outside my potential. So not everybody is supposed to grow their business exponentially. But here's what happened. In my 15th year of coaching, I realized I had a sweet spot and didn't know it. It was to take companies that were under 10 million and to double their revenue in a year. And that was, I woke up one day and I said, how many companies have I doubled? And sometimes I double 50 to 80% of my clients, their revenue in my first year of coaching. So I developed a whole system how to do that. It's a whole curriculum that I said, why is everybody asking me the same 12 questions every year of coaching? And it's always about revenue. We want more revenue, not understanding that there are universal principles, no matter who you are, what culture, where you live, what you sell, what your personality is, what the money value is. You can still double if you understand the universal principles. And that's one of the biggest secrets. If you can tap into those principles, you'll double wherever you go.
You have to hire him to find out those principles, because I was really close. Give us one, man. Give us one. No. Or read the book, right?
That's right.
But okay, so say they have 10 million in revenue. That basically tells you you've got enough traction, which is a good foundation for growth. I think there's people, and you know probably people, that they want to grow, but they haven't created a foundation in which to grow from. So it's like, have you ever seen how a skyscraper is done? It's the basement below and all of the stuff below that allows it to go as high as it goes.
That's right.
And so if your foundation isn't sure, and I'm sure you can do more with less if somebody is willing to continually work on their foundation.
That's right.
So it's like, I can scale 10 million, but I can also scale somebody who's just starting if they're hungry enough, if they're really going to go out and go get it.
So the bottom line, if you were to say to me, David, what's the fastest way to sabotage business growth, is to grow your business for money's sake. So
I'll go ahead and X that and post that one as well. Growing your business for money's sake.
So for instance, if I say to somebody, hey, let's say you want to make $1 million next year, and that's your personal income. You have a company that's doing well, and I say you can have $1 million at the end of next year, but you can't touch it. It can only stay in your bank account. You can never use it. The person will not be motivated. They're motivated of what to do with the capital. So whenever I say to somebody, hey, let's double your revenue, and they said, that's exciting. And I said, what are you going to do with it? I'm going to get out of debt. I'm going to pay for this. I'm going to pay for this. If all it is about themselves and their family and their money and their debt and their retirement, if there's nothing bigger than that, I don't coach the person. There has to be a bigger dream that drives them. And so what people don't understand is the purpose of business is for you to fulfill your purpose on earth. That's why it's there. That is the foundation. So you wake up every day and say, I am so excited to Monday morning is my best day. I have a hard time sleeping Sunday night because I can't wait for Monday to get here because it's fulfilling my purpose. So I ask somebody before I coach them, I'll say, listen, here's the universal momentum question. If you had $100 million in your bank account, all tax-free, you never had to work again, what would you do? Now listen, Conrad, you will be shocked at how many people will blurt out something that they are not expecting. And it's really fun because the filter's off because money hinders more people from fulfilling their purpose than anything else on this world.
Yeah.
So when they say to me, oh, I would definitely not do what I'm doing now. Guess what that tells me? I'm not coaching them in what they're doing now. I want to find out what they really want to do and coach them for their true calling and purpose. Towards that.
Okay. So it's not just income, it's impact.
It's impact.
And not just impact like in your community, which that's great, have impact in your community, impact in other business leaders, but it's also, what is that impact in your life? What is that? I want to be able to spend time with my baby boy and my wife and not be, 9 to 5, 9 to 5, 9 to 5, 9 to 5. Well, then that means I need to make decisions that line me up in a way that I don't need 9 to 5 income. Right.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
And if somebody says, I want to retire so that I can go travel the world. Right. And I'm not taking a story or anything that I've heard, but I would love to go live out of a camper. Right. Well, what does that look like? Can you grow your business to the point where you are pursuing that dream, but you're also finding life in your business?
So the correct answer for the universal momentum question of if you had 100 million, all tax-free, you never had to work again, what would you do with your life? Here's what the person should say. Well, I'd stay married to my wife or stay married to my husband. I'd still keep my kids.
That's right.
I wouldn't trade my car in for anything. I wouldn't change where I live. And my life wouldn't change one bit.
It wouldn't change drastically.
So if it doesn't change drastically, what does that tell me about the person? I call that your PCS, your personal calling statement, that they have actually fulfilled their personal calling statement, that money doesn't take them to their personal calling statement. They're living it every day. And there's 3 parts of that. The first is your passion. The second is your personality. And the third is your proficiency. Those 3 things is what completes you as a being, where if somebody gave you 100 million, you'd actually say, you know what, I have to be really creative because I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing because I'm aligned with my personal calling statement. Not, I can't wait to get enough money to go do what I'm called to do. That was the old days. Back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, everybody would say, after I retire, I get to go do my dream. After I get retired, I get to go travel, or I want to go play golf, or I want to go visit people in other countries. And guess what? How many of those people died?
Yeah, build cars and then get a classic car built and they can't even climb in.
And you can't climb in because it's too late.
I have people that I know that
it's too late.
They got their dream car done.
So
and they couldn't even.
Here's what it is. It's an either or mentality instead of a both and. You can fulfill your life's purpose, make a fortune, and serve people and do everything that you want to do in this lifetime right now. You don't have to first suffer to make the money in order to be fulfilled when you're old. That is the old season. It doesn't work. And people they can't put up with it. After COVID, man, we lost our tolerance for things that don't work in our lives anymore.
He has no idea how personal that one hits, but we moved upstate in a camper and got away and said, what is next for us? You know what I mean? So I know exactly what that's like to just say, it's time to burn the ship that I've trusted in.
Yes.
Because it always gives me a way back home to where comfort is.
Yeah.
And so we still own the house because it becomes a revenue generator, but we basically said, we're done here and we're in a new season. And so that's so cool that even just like the practical side, and I know somebody's probably going to be listening and going, what does it mean to burn my ship? What does it mean? I'm in business and maybe I'm at the 250K and I haven't quite I'm nowhere near $1 million. What could you offer them? You know, because there's probably most of the people who are going to listen are going to be your everyday entrepreneurs.
Right.
You know, I'm in a business mastermind group, and you got a couple of guys that are worth more than I know, and they have multiple businesses. And then there's a couple of guys that are like, I got 2 employees. And they're like, and I struggle with firing 1 employee at a time, you know, because they care so much about, but their goal is not to scale into a multi-million-dollar business. Their goal is to create a business which gives them freedom. And so they do want to grow, but they don't want to kill themselves to get there, so to speak. And so what is your advice for people like that?
So, you know, Conrad, a lot of people think, let's take the 250K guy or gal. And a lot of people believe that if I made $250,000 last year and I was working 50-hour work weeks for average, I have to increase that to 100 hours a week in order to make $500,000. And that's not true at all. In fact, the exact opposite is true. You should be decreasing your time by doubling your revenue. So here's how this is. When you look at most people's day, they don't have a structured schedule that dictates their future success. They're all over the place. I meet people and they're doing networking at this time, then they're doing admin, and then they're doing legals, and then they're working with their client, and they're all over the place every single day. And that those are different frequencies of different tasks that you should not be mixing. So if you say, hey, David, get in your administrative role and do all of these administrative things, you know what I'm not going to do? Put my clients in between those tasks. I'm not going to be a good coach. I need to coach where I get in my flow. So if you want to double your revenue, you have to ask the question, would you like to double your revenue, or do you want to suffer to double your revenue? Because some people, they're not happy unless they're suffering. And I've had clients like that. Unless they're really suffering, they don't feel that they deserve that extra money.
Wow.
So that's one, you got to have a wealth mentality. Then you can generate revenue easily. Number 2, you have to ask the question, if I double the revenue, so what? What is the incentive for doubling? And that's one of the big secrets I talk to people about, is creating an incentive program for the milestones of their business that are so exciting for them that it pulls them to the next milestone. You know, business sometimes can be a grind. It can be where it's Monday through Sunday and you're like, all I feel like I'm doing is my business, my business, my business. You've lost that love and feeling. You've lost the fun of business.
He was about to sing it, y'all.
Hey, you know, and you got to have those incentives.
Yeah.
So, you know, and when I say to people is, just because you have money in the bank, create an incentive that you're not going to spend the money on, so it reminds you of what you've accomplished. For instance, I was living up in Chicago back in 2014 through 2016. Chicago was not my scene. Colorado was my scene. And I said to myself, if I didn't know almost anybody there. I knew like 2 or 3 people. And I said, if I make over 6 figures in my first year in Chicago coaching, which is a very big company when you first start out in Chicago, I said, I'm going to take myself on a week's vacation down to Fort Collins, Colorado, and I'm going to go there in the wintertime because I love snow. And on my 11th month, I was $11,000 short, and I made $22,000 that month. And I made $118,000. I booked my plane ticket. I flew down there, and I spent the week in the snow, so happy. And I was in the mall. And I was walking by watches. I'm not a big jewelry person, but I saw a gorgeous watch and I said, that's the one. And I didn't look at the price. I just bought it. Now here's what happened. Every time I put the watch on for the next 5 years, every time I looked at the watch, you know what I said? I didn't say this. I had money for that watch. I said this, that money reminds me of the incentive that I bought in Colorado because I deserve it, because I hit my mark. So when somebody says, I want to get a new car, or I want to buy a boat, or I want to take my family on vacation, or I want to get some new shoes, I'm like, don't do it. Make it where you have to get an incentive and make the net profit your incentive. And then every time you wear those pair of shoes, you look down and say, man, I got these new shoes because I earned it. Not, I didn't deserve it. I earned it. That's different. One's entitlement. One's not.
Yeah.
One is, I'm not buying those shoes. I need the shoes. My shoes are dirty.
Yeah.
You can't get the shoes. You got to hit that. Now, don't make it too impossible because shoes are small.
Right.
But if you're going to Hawaii for a week with your family, you got to have a big incentive. So what I do is I help people create an incentive that staggers
That makes sense.
with the growth of their business. So here's what they do. They're so excited to reach the next incentive, and then I hold them accountable to have it. Otherwise, they'll blow right by and go to the next one and forget because they keep growing their business. So the incentive is meant to drive the momentum inside the person where they're so excited, and it's become a game again and fun for them and their business.
Right. Which is what a lot of people work with a paycheck. They work with a paycheck. Now, usually people will put it on credit or whatever, and they think they've earned it.
Right.
But it's like, if you can't pay for that thing in full, you've got to really search your heart and say, have I truly earned this?
That's right.
And I'll never forget, just we accomplished several goals in our younger days. We were trying to get, my wife and I were trying to get debt free and some things and whatever. And while everybody else was going out and doing whatever, I was investing and paying down debt. That's what I was doing.
There you go.
And I had somebody say, must be nice. I said, must be nice. I'm like, we haven't been out to eat in 6 months. And we called it eating crow for a season, so you can eat caviar for the rest of your life.
There you go.
And that's the way we made our mindset like. And so I remember when we rewarded ourselves, we got this new TV with a sound bar and a full theater setup kind of deal. And that TV holds so much sentimental value that when I rented my house out and I left it, because we were living in a camper, I was like biting my nails, like they better not mess up my TV, because it was based on the goals that we had set.
Yes.
And that TV is more than a TV.
That's right.
It was the reward, because we'd always used hand-me-down TVs. We had like the model below whatever everybody else had. It was like, I remember we had somebody give us like, this thing does 3D, and then it like didn't work anymore. And it was like, no, you thought you'd get something really cool.
It's
but,
1D.
Yeah, it's 1D. It doesn't even turn on anymore. But we lived with the hand-me-down lifestyle for a while we were grinding.
Yeah. And
then it was like, I walked into Best Buy, I didn't even care. I didn't even care what the price was. I was like, I like this one. It looks cool. Yeah. And that was, and it was probably the one I shouldn't have bought. It was like, but there's something to be said. And I think you nailed it with that watch. I heard a podcast where the guy said, I bought a watch that was so ridiculously stupid expensive that when I looked down at it, it said, if I could do it once, I could do it again.
That's right.
And so I'm kind of weird though, because I'm like, I have a fake Rolex that a family member left when they passed away. Mm-hmm. And I almost wanted to wear it because most people wouldn't know it was fake.
No.
But I wanted to wear it as a reminder that my time, my true time, is more valuable than showing off how I keep time.
Yeah.
And it's my time with my family, my time with, so I would rather wear something like that reminds me the whole reason we're free is so that we can do this. And maybe there's one day that gets replaced with the real Rolex, whatever.
Right.
But I think there's sometimes it depends on the individual. I think it truly does. And I'm sure you have clients that are like, I would love to have a Maserati out here or a Lamborghini. And you're like, that's cool, but why? Why? Is it so you can go stunt on the next person and show them you're so much better than them? Or is it because you're like, man, I really love Lamborghini since I was a kid. I remember reading this Lamborghini book. You saw when you came in, I got the cars thing right here. I like cars. So I want to have a garage that has some cars. Not quite Jay Leno, but if that's possible, cool. But I think that's really awesome to say work and earn the reward versus just reward yourself for working.
And, the other part of this, and use the right word, is most entrepreneurs don't understand the philosophical reasons behind the grind. They don't understand that the grind is there for a purpose. It's not there as a lifestyle. Okay, so I've started over 20 companies. Half were for-profit, half were nonprofit.
Okay.
The ones that were the most successful, the grind is in the first 90 days. And what I've learned with business owners is they think they can keep balance and be successful at the same time. I don't know of a single multimillionaire that I've met in my life that has ever been balanced. They are focused. And when they're at their business, that's all they care about. And when they're off, that's all they care about. And they're careful with the seasons of their life to understand when they're supposed to grind and when they're supposed to recover.
Wow.
So in the first 90 days, when you have a new product launch or a new service, a new company, those 90 days, People decide they're going to take off on Saturdays and Sundays. They're going to take a vacation. They're going to take it easy. They're going to make sure that they don't burn out and work 9 to 5. And then they wonder why 5 years later, they're still struggling and they're not successful. The first 90 days is when you push the ball up and over that tipping point and you get the momentum that you literally can use for the rest of the season of that business. But you can't do it by taking it easy and being balanced and trying to rest. You can't do that. You got to push that ball as hard as you can, as fast as you can. And once that's over there, guess what happens? All the business comes to you instead of you chasing the business. So this is where the joy is. This is where the peace, this is where the suffering is. And when people say, David, I've been grinding for years. I'm like, you're doing something wrong. You grind in the beginning. If it's really complex, okay, maybe a year. But if you've been grinding for more than a year, there's something wrong. Right. You haven't figured out something. Now, for the people that haven't gone through the grind, they don't understand the purpose of it. You know what the grind is? The grind is this: putting you into intense fire to reveal the lack that you have inside as a business owner.
Wow.
As a person. It shows you where in your core you have some lies you believe. It has in your character where you can't stand up to the success and wealth that's coming. It shows you in your character where you're not actually as good as you think you are. And the fire, the hotter it gets, the more this dross bubbles up in the person. They're like, oh my gosh, I just bit that poor waitress lady off because she spilled water on my crotch. And I'm so upset with her. And you lost it because you're in the grind. So the grind, you must go through it because it reveals who you truly are now, what you need to sort out, where you got to do your soul work, where you got to fix some stuff, where you got to go get some counseling or therapy or journal some stuff, where you got to vent some stuff out. Because I tell you what, if you don't go through the grind and you get success, you're going to mess it up so big on there and you're going to fall really hard. Wow. And it's really hard to recover from that kind of fall.
Wow. Man, David, you've given us some gold. I do want to just think there's probably someone out there who's like, I desire to start a business. I don't have enough. I don't have a lot of income. How do you start? And even what I've done in here, there were doors that opened because of things that I was pursuing though.
Yes.
I was sharing the vision before there was a place.
Yes.
And it was like, man, I have this idea. I don't know what it looks like exactly, but I was like, I have this idea. And when I ended up sharing that idea with one person over coffee, they said, I know someone you need to meet.
Yeah. And
it led to, here's this space. And then I had to go, holy cow, now what? Because then you have to make it happen or don't. You know? And so how do you get into somebody? Because I think some people have the poverty mindset, not just financially, but poverty in their ability.
Yes.
They don't realize that things are learned. And it's in that fire that you're forged. You know, since we're in Podforge Studios in Anderson, South Carolina, you know, it's in the fire where you're truly forged. The struggle is for the strengthening. Yeah. If you go to the gym, if you work out and you just do 10 push-ups every day, you'll only do 10 push-ups. But if you push yourself just a little bit further, you'll just keep increasing.
Yes.
Within reason, obviously. You're not going to be like, oh, look, I can do 800 push-ups now. Like there's going to be a within reason, your body, you know, whatever. But I just think so many people get lost in seeing where other people are versus the beginning steps. So what would be your words of encouragement to someone who's like, I have no clue where to start? What would you say to them?
3 things.
3 things.
The first one is the most important. Get clarity in the vision of where you're going so that you can submit to the call on your life. You don't wing a business. You are called to start up a business because the thought of not starting it keeps you up at night. You're what? You're surrendering to the what, not the how. So the first point, find out what you want to do with all your heart. Say, that's what I'm going to do. And you say, I will not let anything stand in my way. That's number 1. Don't let the how sabotage the what. Number 2, you have to have at least one other person in your life that will be unwavering in their belief in you more than what you believe in yourself. This has been a really important point. One of my favorite clients in 26 years, her name's Delian Mulder. And when I met her, because I was living in South Africa for 7 years,
Mhm.
and she was ready to close down her family business of 50 years. She had it. They were selling mattresses for over 5 decades, and she had enough. She's like, David, I'm ready to close it down. It's only making $100,000 a year. I'll never retire on this. I'll never make it work. I want to go live in an RV out in the mountains. And I called her bluff, and I went and looked with her, and we went and looked at RVs, went and looked at trucks. And then I took her out for dinner. I said, Delenn, are you ready to do this? And she said, no, I want you to help me fall back in love with my business. Do you know what happened? Over the next 7 years, I coached her to a point where she was making $100,000 a month selling mattresses. And now she's retired in a beautiful place in the mountains where she paints every day. Every single birthday, she thanks me for my belief in her, which was bigger than herself. That's number 2. Number 3, understand that just because something is tested and you fall doesn't mean you're supposed to give up. You need to rise back up, dust off yourself.
Yeah.
And if nobody's around you, it was never about them.
That's right.
Because just because people started with you doesn't mean that they'll be with you in the end. And some people aren't worth you dragging over the finish line. So be careful who you put your stock into when you're doing something that's significant that you know is part of your purpose. Guard your heart. Make sure that you keep the things inside. Don't share them with other people who can't help you build the momentum, because that can sabotage all your efforts. So my encouragement to you, ask yourself the universal momentum question. If you had $100 million in your bank account, you never had to work again tax-free, what would you do with your life? Number 2, since you know now exactly what you want to do, give your whole being to your purpose and the call of your business. Number 3, don't give up. Don't share things that are deep inside you unless it's the right person to build your momentum so that you can have success long term.
Man, I don't even know where we go after that. So we're just going to say, let's go towards the future. What's next? What is something that you have coming up that it may not be a one-time event or anything like that, but it's just something that you have coming up where somebody can get connected with you, or maybe even just tell them how to be connected with you, but also what you have coming up and how or who you would desire to have at that.
Yeah. So I'm one of the most successful people at losing business cards. So I am not a business card guy. I am a LinkedIn person. And I have found so far, I have yet to lose one LinkedIn connection I've made. They're always there, no matter where I go in the world. If I travel to South Africa, they're still on my LinkedIn. So if you would please connect with me on LinkedIn, you can find my handle. It's David B. Wilkinson, GEC. And that's for the Global Equipping Center. And you can connect with me on LinkedIn. We have events, we have trainings, we have over 200 keynote speech topics. We do team building, we do fundraising, we help companies start, we go to large corporate events and speak. We do all kinds of things. So I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn, that'd be a great honor to do that.
Okay, so connecting on LinkedIn with David B. Wilkinson. Don't get it confused like I did. Wilkinson. All right. David, man, thank you so much for today. I hope you enjoyed this first episode of the Upstate Collective, where we have conversations about business, leadership, and community. And we are based right here out of Podforge Studios in Anderson, South Carolina.
Thanks so much.
Man, thanks. What a talk, man. Woo! I think the mic's on fire. Just